Welcome to Franschhoek, one of South Africa's most famous wine regions. But there's more than one way to experience it. So instead of rushing or driving ourselves, we're spending 2 full days riding the Franschhoek Wine Tram, exploring different routes through the valley. Each line takes you to completely different wineries with different views and a totally different pace. Some stops will be quick tastings and others will be longer lunches or paired tastings.
We'll be showing you what the wine tram is actually like, the wineries we visit, and whether doing more than one tram line is really worth it. Let's get tipsy, y'all.
South African wine goes way back, like over 350 years back. The first vines were planted in the 1600s near Cape Town. Things really took off when French Huguenots arrived and settled areas like Franschhoek, which is Dutch and Afrikaans for French corner. South Africa is known best for its Chenin Blanc, which is kind of its signature grape, plus bold reds like Cabernet Sauvignon, and then there's Pinotage, a grape that you will only find here, and you're either gonna love it or hate it. Today, it's all about expressive wines, stunning landscapes, and way better value than you'd expect, which is exactly why we're here in Franschhoek. So this is the star of the show, the Franschhoek Wine Tram. Think of one of those hop-on, hop-off tour buses, but make it way more awesome and add vineyards. The wine tram runs 5 different color-coded lines, each one hitting a different group of wine estates around the Franschhoek Valley. You pick a line, you ride the tram or tram bus, hop off when a winery looks good, and jump back on when you're ready for your next glass. The wine tram has a very detailed and helpful timetable online for each stop, so you can plan your day as you see fit. Your ticket covers unlimited rides for the day on that particular line. Just know going in that your ticket is just for the transportation and the tastings at the wineries are extra. As we mentioned, we're doing it 2 days on the wine tram because self-control is overrated. Day 1, we're on the navy line, and day 2, we're switching to the blue line, which means different wineries, different views, and of course, a whole lot of wine. No driving, no stress, just vineyards, mountains, and a very reasonable excuse to day drink responsibly. Let's jump on to the first day on the navy line and show you exactly how this plays out in real life, the stops, tours, and all the fun.
All right, so we have taken the bus from the main terminal in Franschhoek out to the Groot Drakenstein. It looks like Groot.
I am Groot.
But Groot Drakenstein terminal, and we are now just waiting. We are actually taking the bus first to our first wineries because they're a little bit further outside of Franschhoek, and then we will pick up the tram a little bit later today. All right, as we said, this is a hop-on, hop-off type of deal today. We just stopped at our first place, and it took a lot of self-control to not get off, because usually we are see wine, get off, drink wine, but we have done some research, and we are on to stop number 2, which is Camberley, and we should be there in a few minutes.
If Miss Honey from Matilda had a wine bar, this would be it. We just got to stop 1, and this place is so charming. There's a rose garden. You have this beautiful, unreal mountain scenery. Man, this is totally just living up to the hype. I saw all the videos online, and I thought, this place just looks too beautiful to be true, and it's real. Very, very real. First stop of the day, Camberley Wine Farm, and this is a fun one to kick things off. Camberley is a smaller family-run estate, which already sets the tone. This place is known for boutique-style wines, meaning lower production and more hands-on winemaking and a lot of personality in the glass. It's an easy, relaxed introduction to the wine tram and a dangerous reminder that it's only going to get better from here. Stop 1, wine 1. Look at how big these pours are. We planned on doing 4 stops today. Some of the pairings you had to pre-book and pre-pay for, so we are in this to win this today. We're going to go slow, we're going to pace ourselves, drink lots of water. This is actually a Chenin Blanc with just a few drops of Shiraz, giving it a beautiful pink color. Chenin Blanc is one of the grapes that this region and area is known for, and I have to say, this is very delightful. It's a little chilly this morning, even though it's summer here, but this is crisp and very light, and oh, I love it. Up next for me, this is the first time I've ever had this varietal. It is a Semillon, and I haven't tasted it yet, but the smell, don't come after me, because everyone has different smells. I'm getting like a lemongrass, something that's, I don't know, it's very earthy, very like musty. This is another varietal that this region is also known for, so let's go ahead and see what it's like. super like citrus on the front, mellows out really quickly. And I hate to say the word grass. I'm gonna have to look up what the flavor profile actually is, but it's really good. It's a lot lighter than I thought it was going to be. Be curious to see what this also pairs with, because I've never had it before, so I don't know what the pairing is, but pretty good. On to stop number 2.
Bartinney is a modern, polished estate known for clean, well-structured wines, especially their Cabernet Sauvignon. Everything here feels intentional, from the wines to the views, both of which are big and dramatic. And what really makes Bartinney great for the wine tram is that they offer a specific tram tasting option designed for people like us hopping on and off all day. It's streamlined, efficient, and doesn't feel rushed, which is exactly what you want when you're balancing multiple stops in a day. This is an easy in and out tasting if you want it to be, but it's still very high quality. You get solid wines, a beautiful setting, and a smooth experience that keeps the day moving without sacrificing the fun.
So with Bartinney here and with Camberley, we wanted to do more off the beaten path hidden gems. There are some big name wineries here, and these two were definitely more under the radar, but the bubbles that we started with were perfection. We are on to a Chardonnay. Chris and I are not typically the biggest fans of an oaked Chardonnay. It's not our particular style. We don't like the butter bombs. This is a clean citrus finish. It is absolutely delightful, and you cannot beat this view. Even though it's a little hazy and cloudy today, we're good. We can stop now. Perfection has been hit.
At Bartinney, there's a little extra magic beyond just the wine. So they have something called the Wine and Fynbos experience, which is a tasting that pairs 3 of their estate wines with native Fynbos plants growing right here on the farm. It's not just sipping and swirling, it is a full-on sensory moment where you smell, touch, and taste the flora that actually influences the character of the wine that you're drinking. It's a really cool way to connect the wine to the land itself and see how really the biodiversity of this Cape region shapes the flavor. Now, the Fynbos and wine experience does require a pre-booking, so we did not get to do that today, but our wine server was able to give us a little sneak peek of that. She gave us this little sprig of plant, and we've got our last wine here on the tram tasting, the Cabernet Sauvignon. She did tell us to taste the wine first, then get into the flora smelling and feeling and whatnot.
Tell me what you think of the wine on its own.
Very, very good. She said, I think this was a 2021. She said it still needs about 5 years to kind of fully mature, but on its own right now, it is delicious. I would drink that without anything else, without no more aging. I would drink that today. Yeah, and she said garlic, and I'm getting a little bit of, not a little bit, actually a lot of definite garlic. That's supposed to just be this magic that, you know, when I smell and then taste the wine, I'm supposed to get this full-on sensory experience. We'll see. I mean, I'm still getting garlic. I don't know that I get the allure and the magic of it. It is, I mean, again, this smells really good. I will say that. And this tastes really good. So combined, I guess we're good.
I listened to Chris's whole explanation and then I experienced it for myself. I had to smash, I mean, literally smash. Like, I felt like I was almost mortar and pestling this with my fingers, and I just smash with my fingers. And then I immediately picked up the wine and I took a big sip really, really fast. And I got the biggest hit of like bready garlic. I don't know how else to explain it, but it was totally crazy. I would be really interested to see, had we done the whole tasting experience. Had we done the whole tasting experience, what I would have gotten, because I honestly don't smell garlic. I actually told Chris, from like right here, I kind of got skunk. Up close, it just smells like a leaf. But when you smash it on your fingers and then you take it with a wine, it turns into garlic somehow. So I'm gonna say somewhat magical, but also Chris hasn't experienced it. If you don't have a strong sense of smell, I might not recommend this experience for you. Explore at your own risk.
Oh, hello, pupper. It's a hard day to be a winery dog.
Just like, yeah, it is.
And what you got there?
Bottle number 1. I will say, 1 of 2. We're usually 2 for 2 by this point, so I guess we're trying to save space. Take her to a different continent, and maybe we can get less bottles.
Also, it's a Sunday, so this tram is full. I'll be very curious to see tomorrow on a Monday if the Fed's full. Heading to stop number 3. Stop number 3 on the Navy line is Le Pommier Wine Estate, and this is where things should slow down a bit for us. Le Pommier is a historic estate with roots going back to the late 1600s, making it one of those classic Franschhoek properties that's quietly been doing its thing for centuries. The name means the apple, a nod to an orchard that once covered the lands before vines took over. Wine-wise, they're known for approachable, food-friendly styles and other solid, easy-drinking reds that don't try to steal the show but absolutely belong at the table. This is the true comfort wine. And speaking of food, we timed this stop perfectly because we have lunch reservations here at noon. So for now, we're going to get some lunch and reset, which might be the smartest decision we've made so far today on the tram. It's 4, 5, 6. 6 glasses for Christopher over here.
We're here for 2 hours, so.
Yeah, we spaced this one out. We don't have another tasting for a while. So I went with the 4. Chris went with the 6. So with mine, I'm going to get 2 whites, a rosé, and a red. And then Chris is going to get +2 reds to make his a full flight. They brought us out a giant pitcher of water. Thank goodness. We have got my tasting here, which is the abridged version of Chris's. But one of the things I want to talk about was their Sauvignon Blanc, which they gave us these lemon wedges. So Sauvignon Blanc in general, light but slightly acidic white wine. Think of it as a step up from Pinot Grigio. This particular Sauvignon Blanc paired with a lemon wedge makes it completely sweet. So this is a beautiful, tart, light white wine, but when you put the lemon wedge in your mouth and then you drink it again, it becomes like a very light white. It almost tastes like someone has watered it down and added some sugar. It is an absolutely incredible experience. For lunch today, I ordered a burger flight. Well, they call it a trio, but I'm calling it a flight because I'm already drinking a flight. And I'm going to get chicken, beef, and steak on my trio, served with fries, which should be a good layer to go into our final tasting after this stop today. So far, all of these wines are fairly young, but they're all very, very drinkable. Something that this place is actually known for is a pizza and wine tasting. Now, we did not do this because we were getting lunch here, but if we weren't getting lunch here, we would have absolutely prioritized this because this place is gorgeous, really good. On to stop number 4. We are finally on the wine tram. We have empty cups. Dave means we get to drink on this.
Our last stop of the day is Boschendal Wine Estate, and this is a big one to end on. Now, Boschendal is one of the oldest wine estates in South Africa, dating back to the late 1600s. Even though it's a little bit touristy and very crowded, it shows in the best way. This place is massive, it's beautifully preserved, and it feels more like a working farm village than a typical winery. Now, they're known for elegant, well-balanced wines, especially their whites and their classic blends, but Boschendal is really about the full experience. There are sprawling gardens, oak-lined paths, and just that feeling of having nowhere else that you need to be. As a last stop, Boschendal hits perfectly. It's historic, scenic, and charming enough to bring you back to earth after a full day on the tram. If you're going to end a wine day anywhere, this is how you do it.
I went with the MCC tasting, or as they're calling the CC tasting. It is basically the bubble flight. And Chris has decided to do a mixed tasting, or the tram tasting, and it's gonna be 2 whites, 2 reds. The wine at Boschendal was genuinely good and the setting was beautiful, but on this particular visit, the service didn't quite match the experience. We were immediately poured 2 tasting glasses each, and then nothing. We waited over 45 minutes before anyone came back. We tried flagging down someone twice, and on the 3rd attempt, we were finally able to get the remaining 2 pours from our tasting flights.
Since Boschendal was the end of the line for us today, we hopped back on and rode straight back to the main depot. So there was no more hopping on and off. We just got to sit back and watch the vineyards roll by. All right, so we're at the end of our day, and the way they do this, if you buy wine on the tram, you can bring it on the tram. They give you a little sticker, and they put it on your bag, and they leave it at the terminal. So at the end of the day, you pick it up. So we will be starting bright and early tomorrow morning on the Blue Line. Good night, guys.
Good morning, day 2. We're back at the wine tram station, feeling good, and today we're doing a different route, the Blue Line. So totally new wineries from yesterday. And what's nice about the Blue Line is that it's not a repeat at all. The Blue Line focuses on a different cluster of estates on a different side of the valley. So even though it's the same tram system, the scenery and stops should feel completely different from day 1. Just made it to stop 1. We actually have reserved some pairings, so we are very excited to kick off this day with wine pairings. First stop on the Blue Line for us is Bri Wine Estate. The estate sits on land that dates back to the late 1600s, but Bri as we know it today really came into its own in the early 2000s when they built their own cellar in time for the 2008 harvest. So historic roots with a very modern approach to winemaking. Bri is a smaller boutique estate, and it immediately feels a little quieter and more personal than some of the bigger properties. This place focuses on handcraft, small batch wines, and they're especially known for their reds. Plus a solid Chenin Blanc that supposedly fits the valley really well. The style here is approachable but serious. Nothing flashy, just well-made wine you actually want to sit with. They brought us out a welcome drink. This is the Shiraz Rosé. It is the perfect wine to start a morning at 9:30.
All right, so we have our tastings laid out. I did the biltong and wine pairing. So biltong, if you're not familiar, it's a South African snack, I guess. It kind of looks like and reminds me of beef jerky. I'm very interested because I've never seen this type of food paired with wine before. And this place, Bri, is very well known for their reds. So we've got a full flight of 3 different reds, which it's 10:10 in the morning, so it's a good way to kick off the day.
So I went with a locum tasting, which is like small little Turkish delights, also paired with reds. You know, it's really interesting that Chris and I were poured the same reds for both flights. So we will see how this goes. I'm very excited to try this. Mine's obviously sweeter, Chris is more savory, so we're gonna share a little bit as we go along. Just leaving Bri, so we will say this. The tasting was awesome. It was really unique how the biltong and my Turkish delights paired with the wines. An hour for that type of tasting felt very rushed. It took them about 10 minutes to get the tasting out to us. And then we were kind of chugging and eating really fast, trying to make it back to the tram. So just keep that in mind that you might want to give yourself 2 hours if you're going to do a pairing, or you just maybe split one. It just might be easier.
Stop 2 on the Blue Line today is Holden Manz, and this one immediately feels a little bit different.
These welcome drinks are going to be dangerous if all 4 stops give us welcome drinks today.
Holden Manz is a more modern estate that was founded in the early 2000s, and it leans into a more refined contemporary style of winemaking. It's known for elegant, well-balanced wines, especially their Syrah, Chardonnay, and many of their Bordeaux-style blends. One of the standout features here is just the setting, as you can see behind me. The estate sits right along the river, which gives it a calm, almost secluded feel compared to some of the hillside vineyards in this region. It's quieter, it's scenic, and really a perfect mid-morning stop. A great contrast to our first stop, and a reminder that the Blue Line really does show a different side of Franschhoek.
Sip, slip, and sip were the instructions I was given. I love oysters, I'm so excited. Okay, sip, slip, sip. God, do I love oysters. Holy moly. Wow. That was such a game changer for the wine. So this is the welcome drink wine that we actually got. We knew it was part of the flight, but it was totally fine because oysters, so different. Like that complemented it so well. And usually you see oysters with some sort of sparkling, not necessarily a rosé, but this was, I don't think I've ever had a rosé oyster pairing, and wow, I can't wait for round 2. So this particular part of the region or the valley is known for reds. So naturally I got an all white flight. So I really wanted to do an oyster pairing. We were supposed to do one at Boschendal yesterday, but due to an oyster shortage, they canceled that, which I ended up doing just a sparkling flight. But they happened to have oysters here. I saw it in the menu. I made a game time decision, and it's not just oysters, it is decorated oysters.
They look pretty nice.
And we learned our lesson yesterday. We're actually going to share this flight. Chris isn't the biggest oyster person, but I am, so it's going to be great. It is impossible to have a good hair day on the tram or in this valley because of the wind. Keep that in mind, ladies. Impossible. Stop number 3 on the blue line for us is Rickety Bridge, one of the most popular stops in Franschhoek. The land was originally part of La Provence, one of the first Huguenot farms in Franschhoek. The name Rickety Bridge comes from, you guessed it, an old wooden bridge that once crossed the river to reach this property. And while the bridge is long gone, the name has stuck. They're known for approachable, crowd-pleasing wines and a full sit-down restaurant, which makes this place a prime midday stop. Now, we have reservations for lunch. So we had pre-planned this, and honestly, guys, I would highly recommend a lot of these stops that you try to pre-plan. It's fun to jump on and off, but having a game plan, especially with some of these, very nice. So I went ahead and ordered the Pinotage, which we have not had yet. Based off its color alone, it looks more like a Pinot Noir to me. You either love or hate this wine. It is a very different wine. I've never had it, so let's see what it tastes like. I'm getting hints of red wine. And more red wine. Okay, here we go. I don't know why anyone would hate this. It's a light red wine. Closest thing I could think of is a Pinot Noir. I think it's really good, especially on one of these hot summer days here. I would drink it again. So I'm not really sure what all the fuss is about. So for this particular stop, you get off the tram to get in a bus, to get bused to the winery, to then get out. So then you have to run it in reverse. So right now we are on a bus to go back to the tram to go to the next stop. Our last stop on the blue line is Grande Provence, and this one feels like kind of a full circle moment to the end of the day. Grande Provence is one of the more historic estates in Franschhoek with roots going back to the early 1700s, but it doesn't feel dated at all. It's super polished and very much designed to be an experience, not really for a quick tasting. They're known for elegant, approachable wines, especially their white and red blends, and the estate itself is beautifully put together. Between these gardens and the restaurant and even an on-site art gallery, there's a lot going on, but it really doesn't feel that overwhelming. We are doing their standard tram tasting, which gives you a great introduction to their wine portfolio. As our final winery today, this stop is less about powering through yet another tasting and more about easing us into the finish after a very full day on the tram. So Chris and I are going to share another flight. We learned our lesson from yesterday. This place is gorgeous. And this is, again, one of the bigger players here. We are just going to do one of the tram tastings, and then we're going to bounce because we have a big day tomorrow, or we're going to go ahead and we're going to go to Cape Town, get checked in. It's going to be a big day. 2 days, 2 wine tram lines, and a very solid understanding of why people keep recommending Franschhoek when it comes to wine. Some stops surprised us, some were perfect for slowing down a bit, and a few reminded us why planning ahead actually matters. That wraps up time on the Franschhoek Wine Tram, but we are not done in South Africa yet. Next up, we're heading to Cape Town as we trade vineyards for city views, coastlines, and a whole new set of food and drink stops. If you're curious what that looks like, make sure you're subscribed and we'll see you there. Thanks for watching. Cheers, y'all.